Hello, NBA fans, and welcome to the first round analysis of the NBA playoffs. All the first round matchups have come to a conclusion, so I'll be going in depth about each series and how it panned out. One series I won't be covering is the Celtics and Pacers series due to the fact that it was covered in the last episode as the Celtics sweep the Pacers. Anyways, let's get right into the next episode of the NBA, the week that was. The Milwaukee Bucks had quite the easy time sweeping the Detroit Pistons out of the playoffs 4-0. It seemed like it was a scrimmage for the Bucks. Giannis dominated, Chris Middleton dominated, Eric Bledsoe played well. It was all just too easy for the Bucks. It was also just as unfortunate for the Pistons. Blake Griffin, their star player, was either out or playing injured. Andre Drummond couldn't do anything to stop Giannis, and the same went for the rest of the Pistons. They lost this series because of one simple reason. They couldn't stop the Greek Freak. It's as easy as that. There isn't too much to speak about regarding this series, but I do have some remarks. Firstly, Giannis is unstoppable until someone can figure out how to get him away from the painted area. I believe Al Horford of the Celtics is the right man for that job. Next, the Pistons need to work some magic in the next 2 years during the offseason to get Blake and Andre some help before it's too late. Overall, it was a great series by the Bucks, a disappointment by the Pistons, and we're on to the next round. Similar to the Bucks series, it was an afternoon practice for the Raptors in the series against the Magic. In the past few years, so many superstars have left the East and moved to the Western Conference that teams like the Magic, who are led by Nikola Vucevic, can make it to the playoffs. The Raptors have all the pieces to make it to the finals, while the Magic had no one to match up against them. In my opinion, Game 1 was a fluke for that Raptors. That game winner, that was just an easy win for the Magic. Every game afterwards was played by a team who was ready to bring a trophy home. Kawhi Leonard and Pascal Siakam were the best players for the Raptors. Kawhi couldn't stop scoring, and Siakam played second star to him. As I said before, it was too easy for Kawhi. He was being guarded by guys who have nowhere near the defensive abilities needed to stop Leonard. The Raptors were locked in while the Magic were playing like 5-year-olds. Vucevic, the star of the Magic, couldn't do anything the whole series. When facing up against guys like Marc Gasol, who was a former Defensive Player of the Year, and Serge Ibaka, who has led the league in blocks, there wasn't anything he could do. Going forward, the Raptors are looking like a championship contender with the form Kawhi's in, and similar to the Pistons, Orlando needs to get Nikola Vucevic some help before it's too late. Again, just another series which was a complete blowout. Despite an odd one-game setback, the 76ers easily defeated the Nets to advance to the second round 4-1. This is the third time I've had to mention this, but the games against the Nets were like a normal day at practice for the 76ers. The Sixers have the stars, the talent, the plays, the coaches. The Nets are being led by a 23-year-old, averaging 19 points, who's D'Angelo Russell. There just wasn't any competition. One night it was Ben Simmons and Tobias Harris. The other day it was Jimmy Butler. Some nights were marked by Embiid domination. The Nets simply didn't have any of the tools to stop the stars of the Sixers. There was no way Jared Dudley could stop Ben Simmons or that Jarrett Allen could stop Embiid. Anyways, speaking about Jared Dudley, he was the one who brought the entertainment to the series through his on and off court antics. First, he criticized Ben Simmons for being an average half court player. That prompted Ben to mock him throughout the series and eventually led to a full-out brawl in Game 4 and a Jimmy Butler and Jared Dudley ejection. Overall, it was a drama-infested series, but it was never close. On to the next round for the Sixers. Let's move to some interesting matchups in the West. The Clippers proved the world wrong by taking the Warriors to 6 games, but the real star of the series was Kevin Durant. He had horrible games to start the series, including getting fouled out and ejected. But he took the next 4 games to tell us what he's made of. He dropped 38, 33, 45, and 50 points in 4 consecutive games to close out the series once and for all. Despite KD's amazing heroics, let's take a moment to appreciate the Clippers. A team projected to have 33 wins before the season began, made the playoffs, then took the 2 games against the 3-time champions. Players like Lou Williams, Montrezl Harrell, and Patrick Beverley made us fans realize that if you play with heart and hunger to win, nothing will stop you from achieving the victory you desire. Well, Maybe a super team with 4 All-Stars might, but that's not the point. From pulling off the greatest playoff comeback in history to defeating the Warriors at home in 2 games, the Clippers have been a pleasure to watch all season, and I truly commend them for their effort against the Warriors. The Warriors are just too good, and we can't really do anything about it. So again, congratulations to you, the Los Angeles Clippers. On to the next round for the Golden State Warriors. This was by far the closest first round matchup. In Game 7, the young Nuggets defeated the Spurs to move on to the second round. It was quite the back and forth series, but the Spurs were missing the one key every successful playoff team needs: a superstar. The Nuggets had Nikola Jokic, but I can't classify DeMar DeRozan and LaMarcus Aldridge as leading stars anymore. They are limited players who excel at one thing and nothing else. That's not like a superstar. Jokic, on the other hand, can pass, shoot, and rebound at extraordinary levels, which ultimately proved key for the Nuggets. His 25-point triple-double in Game 7 was the game-changing performance that pushed the Nuggets over the finish line. Again, I would like to congratulate Greg Popovich and his team, who gave a real fight to the Nuggets. They're the most consistent team of all time, and it's mainly because of Coach Pop. Having said that, the young Nuggets were led from the front by Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray, and they eventually took the Nuggets all the way. I believe this series was a good test for the Nuggets because it gave them much needed playoff experience against a tough opponent. So let's see if the Nuggets can continue their success through the second round. 2 words, one name: Damian Lillard. Lillard carried the Trailblazers through the whole series and capped it off with what was possibly one of the greatest shots and greatest playoff performances of all time. With 2 seconds left in the series-clinching Game 5, Damian Lillard hit a step-back three from 37 feet in Paul George's face to seal the series for the Blazers and a brilliant 50-point night for him. The Thunder were just clueless how to guard Lillard the whole series. He had some amazing performances which will go down in NBA history as one of the greatest single-player series of all time. Alongside him, CJ McCollum was the offensive beast we have come to know, and Enes Kanter stepped up when it mattered the most. Lillard was the reason the Blazers won the series, but Westbrook's horrible games were quite helpful. Westbrook went 11 for 31 in Game 5 against Lillard's 17 from 33 from the field and the 10 threes he made. Westbrook is meant to lead, but he just hogs the ball. I understand people like Harden's ball hogging because he has proved to us on countless occasions that he can score from anywhere. But Westbrook, he misses the easiest of shots. In fact, Westbrook missed a potential go-ahead layup with 15 seconds to go in Game 5. He didn't let Paul George be the main option, just so that he can boost his ego by outplaying Lillard. But we all know that didn't happen. Overall, I have derived 2 things from this series. 1. Damian Lillard is one of the greatest basketball players of this era. And 2. Russell Westbrook is forgetting how to play the game of basketball. On to the next round for Lillard and the Trailblazers. Last series. After 3 losses in the first 3 games, the Jazz won Game 4, only to lose in Game 5 and help Harden and the Rockets move on to the next round. The first 2 games were absolute blowouts. The plan to guard Harden from behind was simply not working. However, in the next 3 games, Harden did fall to the plan, but it just wasn't enough to stop one of the greatest scorers of all time and his team, the Houston Rockets. I believe the Jazz lacked the offensive firepower needed to be a contender. Yes, Donovan Mitchell is young, and his time will come, but as we saw in the series, he succumbed to the pressure and wasn't at his peak when he needed to be at his peak at the most crucial time. Rudy Gobert's defense is the best in the league, but his offensive game isn't too similar. James Harden is different. When the shots weren't falling, he flopped and got to the free throw line. No matter what, he was getting his team points. That's what a star does, and that's what the Jazz needed to beat the Rockets. Overall, it was a great series to watch, but the Rockets were simply a better and more battle-ready squad. With that, we wrap up the first round analysis of the playoffs. I hope you learned more about the matchups from the last few weeks and are just as excited for the second round as I am. I'll see you next week on the NBA, the week that was. See ya.